President Moon Jae-in plans to send a special envoy to North Korea. A detailed announcement could be made as early as next week. Our chief Cheongwadae correspondent Moon Connyoung starts us out with the ongoing efforts to keep the peaceful momentum going.
South Korea will send a special envoy to North Korea to follow up on a visit by the sister of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un to the South last month. That's what South Korean President Moon Jae-in told his U.S. counterpart Donald Trump during a late-night phone conversation Thursday, the first direct contact between the two leaders since the rare high-level visits by North Korea across the border in recent weeks. The presidential office suggested that decision was part of an effort to continue diplomatic momentum after a series of exchanges between the two Koreas around the Winter Olympics, which wrapped up on Sunday. Stating that Presidents Moon and Trump discussed the latest engagement between the two Koreas, the Blue House said the two allies agreed to maintain and push forward the momentum of inter-Korean talks and continue to make efforts towards denuclearization of the Korean peninsula. The White House released a similar statement hours later, but with a slightly different note, saying the two leaders noted their strong opposition that any dialogue with North Korea must be conducted with the explicit and unwavering goal of complete, verifiable, and irreversible denuclearization. Mr. Moon, who advocates dialogue with the North to defuse tensions, have urged both Washington and Pyongyang to give ground to allow for talks. In sending a special envoy to Pyongyang, the South Korean leader told the U.S. president that he'd be seeking to reciprocate for the senior delegation from North Korea, including the sister of the North Korean leader, which marked the first visit by a member of the North ruling bloodline since the Korean War in the early 1950s. She traveled with an invitation from her brother for President Moon to visit Pyongyang for an inter-Korean summit. The South Korean leader has not yet agreed to the summit, but observers say Seoul's dispatch of a special envoy to the north could clear the way for a potential summit between the two Koreas. Seoul has not identified who the special envoy would be or when the trip would take place, but sources in the Blue House say President Moon is looking at no later than mid-March to send north his envoy. Despite the developments, however, the situation in the Korean peninsula remains highly volatile, and the possibility of a breakthrough cross-border summit still murky, given the possibility of joint South Korea-U.S. military drills resuming after the Pyeongchang Winter Paralympics, which runs from March 9th to the 18th. Moon Connyoung, Arirang News, the Blue House.